2021. And I'd like to take this opportunity to just speak from my heart. I have been doing a lot of work in regard to this focus on recognizing the debilitating and horrific impact that institutional racism has on so many of us. We continue to see that racism exists. The legacy of enslavement of individuals, our ancestors, continue to be reflected throughout our society. We continue to see the impact of the transatlantic slave process of taking individuals, people, our ancestors from the motherland, bringing them across the international waters, bringing them across into the Caribbean islands, into the Americas, into the various regions, depositing them, raping them, stripping them, dividing them, all in hopes of breaking their spirits, breaking them, taking away their language and culture, pitting them against each other, the darker skinned enslaved individual against the lighter complected individuals, the young against the old against the young. What it was referred to as the field slaves and against those who were within the master's homes, the house slaves as they were referred to, pitting them one against each other, always making sure that anyone who disrupt, anyone who raise their voice, anyone who might cause a riot, or anyone who might be able to bring about a change in the circumstance and the situations that our ancestors found themselves in. Anyone who made a little bit of noise, they were cast down, they were beaten, they were stripped, they were made a point of, they were made an example of. Even in my island, Montserrat, slaves, as they were referred to then, but we call them enslaved individuals, riot erupted, resistance occurred. And I grew up knowing of this place called Cudjoe, never knowing that it was one of our ancestors who decided that they were going to raise up and cause a resistance to occur. That they made an example of him by cutting off his head, naming the area now Cudjoe. You see, it seems like when we resist, there's a backlash. When we resist, there's a movement to counteract our resistance. There's this tendency to try to shut us down, to try to quiet us. And you know how it happens? It comes through that psychological slavery, that psychological entrapment, that psychological piece that's called fear. Bring fear onto them, increase their fear, brutalize them, ostracize them, make a mockery of them, dismiss them, hurt them, bring pain to them, cut off their legs from under them, make them economically dependent on us, the oppressor, make them totally dependent on us. Let them become fearful of us. So let the laws reflect that if they rise up in any way, that they can be beaten, they can be tortured, they can be killed. The laws were on the books regarding our ancestors. Now it's just a little bit shifted, a little different manifestation, but it's still the same. We rise up, we resist, we revolt, and the backlash is imminent. It's fast approaching. We recognize it, we know it, and so many fear and make decisions not to raise their voices, make decisions not to make too many shuffling or make any noise that will draw attention to them. And so the oppressor continue to oppress. And so the oppressor continue to use the psychological impact on us to be able to continue in the position that they are in. Because when it comes down to it, it's not just being fearful, it's knowing that death is around the corner. It's not an imaginary thing. It's real. All we have to do is say their names. And we conjure up the images. We conjure up the reality. We see the reality. We see it. We see the social injustice. We see the racial inequities and the racial injustice. We see the discriminatory practices. We see it. We see the disparities. The laws continue. The practices continue. The procedures continue. We make too much noise. We raise our voices. We boycott. Any additional noise that may counteract the oppressor is met with some sort of backlash. But I'm here to tell you that we're not going back. We are not going back. We are not going back. We are not going back. We will make the necessary noise. We will make the necessary noise. We are not going to bow to the psychological piece that goes on, restricting and restraining and constraining us from letting truth be known. We're not going to submit to psychological slavery. We are not going back. We will let our voices be heard. We will amplify our voices. We will affirm one another. We will recognize and value one another. We will continue to empower one another. Because institutional racism, foundational to that transatlantic slavery process, debilitating, hateful, diabolical project, enslave people, bring them into captivity, try to break them, but we will remain resilient. Our resilience transcends the generation. Our resilience transcends centuries. Our resilience will continue. You can't break a people. You won't be able to break us. We're getting stronger, more resilient, more clarity, having more understanding and knowledge about our history before enslavement, and our history in regard to enslavement, and our history in regard to what we have contributed to the society, to its development. And we are getting a greater understanding of our economic power in regards to what you all seem to want to say to us, in regards. We are moving forward. Incremental changes, shift on the needle, celebratory practices, those will change. These incremental changes, celebration, pacifying a people group. We're not going back. Welcome to the new norm. Our eyes are open. Many of us have said before, many of our eyes have been open long ago. But there are new ones whose eyes are now being opened. There are allies who are coming alongside us. We're not going back, and I'll keep repeating it, we're not going back. COVID-19, unveiling so much. Like I've said before, many of us have known this, and many of you knew it, but chose to ignore it. Yeah, this is our time. We will create, we will innovate, we will collaborate, we will partner, we will do some radical partnering that will shift the landscape. We're moving forward with power and strength, with agility, with flexibility, yet being firm and resolved, with strategies and so many multifaceted tactics. We will use our voices. We will amplify our voices. We're going forward, being more resolved and more resilient and more radical than we've ever been. Just sharing what's on my heart on this March 31st, 2021. We're looking at all the pillars, the underpinning that keep upholding institutional racism, systemic and structural oppression. I'm in all the way. Around the world and back with Dr. Alice Farrell. We're writing our narrative. We're capturing our history. We're laying the foundation for the great legacy. We'll continue this work. Thank you for stopping by. Please do come and visit again. Do remember, by subscribing, you get the notices of all of the videos that I'm uploading and will be uploading. Share, teach, educate, inform, empower. Let's do this work together. As always, take good care. Take care of yourself. Take care of your families. Take care of your communities. Until we meet again. As I always say, please do take the opportunity to jot down thoughts and reflection, to identify strategies and ideas that comes out of any of the interviews, any of the video clip that I post. Reflect on them. Use them in your community conversation. Use them in your professional development to help to begin the conversation about equity, diversity, inclusion, racial inequities, disparities, social determinants of health. Use them to inform your practices and to have conversations around your kitchen table and around your boardrooms. Thanks again. Take care.